was noticing that a lot of people were talking about mindset and talking about the importance of mindset and how to help kids be able to make mistakes and move past it, but that there wasn't enough information past that, how to give more concrete and explicit examples for kids of how that can look in the classroom and what we can do to support that. And I thought that piece was missing.
Right.
I see every day how we're experiencing it and how we're living it in the classroom, and so what it looks like in my classroom specifically, just because that's where I am all day long. And then again, because I'm in a school, because I work very well with other teachers, I'm in a lot of classrooms and I'm talking with them and hearing their experiences, so I'm able to bring theirs into it as well. But most of it does certainly come from the day that I'm living in the classroom and my home life with my 2 children at home. Everything that I notice as a teacher that the kids are struggling with all day long, that I come home and I hear it again from the child's point of view. And I hear their experience every day, their perspective of the events. And then I get to help them, rethink the way they're going to look at it, wonder what the other kids are thinking and feeling, wondering why the teacher might have done, and then helping them figure out what they're going to do next, what their next steps are. Because that's fundamental in the book. It's always about, really being understanding of what the children are going through, being able to understand how hard the day is for them, the struggles that they have, the social emotional struggles, how hard it is academically, and then figuring out what the next steps are, how you help them move through that, how you give them strategies and tools that they can actually do something with the next day. And so again, with my kids at home, that I really can help them through that. So what are we going to do about it? What's your plan? What are your options? It's hard to be a teacher. It's hard to be a parent. It's hard to be a child, right? Life is hard, and it's hard in the classroom. We spend it 8 hours together all day long, and there are beautiful moments in that day, fun moments, and hard moments. And the kids sometimes come home and they remember that hard 10 minutes of the day, even though there's so many wonderful parts. And that's the exact same that's happening at home, that at home the parents, they're not getting all of the sunshine moments, they're getting the hard part, and that's the day after day, that's what they're hearing from their child. And so we have to really try to figure out ways that we can keep that communication loop open, so that that the kids can find ways that they can advocate for themselves, they can express what they need, that we can hear what the child needs, the child's perspective of events, and that we're helping the child be a part of this process. I think a lot of it starts within the autism community, where the autism community has a wealth of knowledge for how to support children who are struggling outside of academic reasons. And as the autism community and the researchers behind that and the specialists have come in to support children with autism, speech and language pathologists, occupational therapists, behavior therapists, that wealth of information that as a teacher 20 years ago I didn't know. I didn't get that wealth of information. And as they're coming in, I think teachers are being, just blown away by the interesting information and the insight into behavior and the social emotional components behind it, and then all of the strategies and techniques that this whole field has. And so when a speech and language pathologist comes in and starts giving information for a child who's struggling, as a teacher, you can hear that information for the child who's struggling and then realize how many other students can benefit from that information. The more we're seeing we're getting the information that's out there, the more we're using it for the benefit of all of the students in the classroom. And so you're really seeing how this information is helping with behavior, and then it's helping when the students are able to learn, when they're self-regulated, when they're able to engage, then they're able to learn more. And so then we are seeing how it's helping them. And I start the book with talking about the marshmallow experiment. There's, quite a bit of study that says that students who have that self-control, that ability to delay gratification, throughout their lives they will do better, how they will be more successful, they will have they tend to have more stable careers, they tend to be happier, and the research gives lots of positive outcomes for students very young who display this self-control and self-regulation and that ability. And so I think that it was just consistently hearing about this experiment and the excitement of the experiment and how much information this gave us, that I thought there's a real need out there to really unpack this and think, how do we teach this to children? It's really great to know that children who have self-control will be more successful. But as a teacher in the classroom, I don't want to just know that information. I want to know, how do I help students who don't have self-control? How do I help students who are struggling in that area? How can I help them each day be able to gain self-control? And it was a piece where I kept reading different information and hearing the studies that were showing what students needed, and using the word self-control, using grit and perseverance, and that they need all of these things, but then really feeling like there was a greater need to help teachers, help parents learn how to support that day in and day out with their children, so that they can gain those skills that are hard skills, that are really hard skills to be able to learn. And as adults, sometimes we all do things without thinking, and that's the piece that's hard, is to be able to reflect on what was it, why did I go into that, and move so quickly. You can't answer that question, and you can't. The cognitive reflection on it is it's easier to have a cognitive reflection on it and to think why you didn't do it, but it's not the essence of what the children need. The most effective first tool in self-regulation is that a teacher has, is really that ability to self-regulate the environment first. And that even starts with having as few posters in the classroom as possible, having as few visuals, the softer colors that we can have in the classroom, and just the less we can have in the classroom makes a huge impact. Really putting in those necessary rest times in the day that the kids need. Our lunchrooms are very loud. The lunchrooms, they really are loud and hard on a lot of kids. So I know that when they come up, I'm going to have a much longer silent reading period than I would think that they actually just need for silent reading. But actually, a big part of that time is just for the students to come into the classroom, to slow their bodies down, for soft music to be playing. Some kids are going to read the entire time, and some kids, they're actually not going to read. And there'd be a part of me as a teacher that would be very upset about this. That student needs to read. It's really important that student's reading. But I have to be able to move away from that and think, this time actually isn't for this child to read. This child is for this time is for this child to calm their bodies down. And that might actually mean stepping out of the classroom 3 times to go and get a drink. It might mean walking around the classroom a little bit more than I would want in my head, than I would think that than I would plan. But that all of a sudden it's really important for me to realize this is what this child needs. And then when we start our math lesson or whatever lesson we're about to move into, that child will be more ready to learn because of that time. But if I'm not getting everything that a document tells me that I need to be teaching them that day, but if it's not working for them, that is okay.
Yeah.
And so I think that the first step is self-regulating the environment, and then it's teaching them self-regulation strategies and tools. And one of the main ways of doing that is throughout the day. And so a simple instruction that I might say to the students, put your books away and come to the carpet.
Yeah.
So for the students who I know they're going to put their book away and they're going to come to the carpet, I teach them either a math activity inside their head that they can actually do while they're waiting, or even a story activity that they can do inside their head. Because there's a few other students that, again, they're going to need a bit more of a process that's going to let them come to that carpet.
Right.
So that I'm going to give 5 minutes, but I'm going to have each student having what they need during that time to get to the carpet, so that once we're at the carpet, then each student's in a better place to be able to learn and to be calm and ready for the lesson, which is, at that point, that's my goal, is the lesson. But I might need to set it up and take a bit more time to get there.